Action. B. The payment, issue or withdrawal from the consolidated fund or other public fund of Uganda of any monies that charged on that fund or any increase the amount of that payment, issue or withdrawal. C. The composition or remission of any debt due to the government of Uganda, or the payment, issue or withdrawal from the consolidated fund or other public fund of Uganda, any monies not charged on that fund or any increase the amount of that payment, issue or withdrawal. E. Composition or remission of any debt to the government of Uganda. F. Upon a motion, including an amendment motion, to the effect of which would be to make provision for any of the purposes above. Parliament is barred from proceeding with that motion or bill which makes provision for those unless it's brought by the government. I'm aware that government has in place scholarships for students intended to pursue studies in tertiary institutions. However, unlike public universities, where the district quota system is applied, the quota is not used during admission to public tertiary institutions. The motion, in my view, is intended to urge government to now begin applying the district quota system to the lower institutions, including technical colleges, institutes, nurses training institutions, primary teachers colleges, national teachers colleges, and agricultural training institutions, among others. So in my view, she's not seeking additional funding, but she's seeking to utilize the existing funds to be applied to the district quota. So my finding is fortified by a number of decisions from the High Court, Marema Vilizi versus AG, and consolidated petition number 234 of 2018, Mr. Wilson versus Attorney General and the Parliamentary Commission, constitutional petition number 3 of 2011, constitutional petition number 2 of 2018, and others. Court considered that only the content of the bill, in terms of whether a bill makes provision for any matters prohibited in Article 93 of the Rules of Procedure. Therefore, the Honorable Raniero may proceed with her motion, and it will be put back on the order paper next week. Thank you very much. Now, there are matters of national concern. Honorable Tumuramye, Geneseo, 2 minutes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise upon a matter of national importance. My name is Geneseo Tumuramye. Right Honorable Speaker, on 27th of August 2019, Kashonji County experienced heavy rain that had hailstones, and it affected crops including banana plantations, cassava, even animals, and many homes were destroyed. Madam Speaker, that rain affected 4 parishes: Chitura Sub-Parish, Rwanyangwe, Kapshwere, and Bweza. Madam Speaker, 657 homes were all affected, and that rain will cause severe damages to the homes, and most people will have food shortages. My prayer is that the Ministry of Disaster and Preparedness should provide supplies and even iron sheets for the affected families. Madam Speaker, I beg to submit.
Honourable members, the Minister for Disaster Preparedness is urged to go urgently to Kashongi County to address the issues raised resulting from the damage caused in that county. Honourable Ochen, Julius Ochen, 2 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance that concerns the people of Kaplebyong County, Kaplebyong District. Madam Speaker, for about 1 month from now, we have lost 3 people in Kaplebyong County. One called Otucho Michael Ojok drowned in a Jelek bridge which has been overflooded for 1 month. In Achinga, a Penes Bridge, which has also overflooded for 1 month, we have lost Okelo, son of Otaba. Madam Speaker, in Milimil, Aketa Swamp, connecting Kaplebyong district with Wusu County, we have lost Etiang Onyole, attempting to cross the other side to the market. Madam Speaker, besides the bridge, those bridges which we have experienced the deaths of these people, Madam Speaker, 2 sub-counties are cut off. That is Achinga sub-county. People cannot go to the sub-county headquarters, they cannot cross to the hospital, Health Center 3 in Achoa sub-county. Madam Speaker, the bridge between
Your prayers.
Yes. The heavy downfall that we experience in Kaplebyong is being doubled by heavy flow of water from Karamoja region. Our prayer to help us contain the water. 2, our prayer, we need emergency road unit from the Ministry of Works to help us work on the roads which have been swept away and cannot enable vehicles move from the district inside and outside. 3, we need emergency seeds because the crops are rotten, gardens are smelly, the food, and we are not sure what to eat tomorrow. Lastly, in my prayer, we need emergency joint assessment by ministries to ascertain what each ministry can respond. Otherwise, my cow and the technical team, they are trying their best, but they cannot move because most of the roads have been washed and they are cut off. Madam Speaker, those are my prayer on the behalf of the people of Kaplebyong County.
Thank you very much, Honourable members. The matter appears to be interministerial. Can we request the Prime Minister to convene a meeting of the ministries concerned, the Ministry of Works? I don't know who is responsible for stopping the water from crossing from Karamoja to the Minister for Environment and the Minister for Disaster Relief and Agriculture, so that they can address the issues in Kaplebyong. Thank you very much. Yes, okay. Honorable Nakayenze, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise up on a matter of urgent importance, and this is the insecurity that is surrounding me. Right Honorable Speaker, last year, around October, is when I began experiencing people trailing me, and before that, Right Honorable Speaker, I had a police guard in Mbale, and I had a police guard in Seta, where I stay, since 2011. But Right Honorable Speaker, these policemen were withdrawn. From the time I began experiencing people trailing me, my policemen were withdrawn. And I've tried to request for the police guards to come back, but all in vain. And Right Honorable Speaker, what I notice is that this DPC then in Mukono, who gave me the police guard in 2011, is the same DPC who withdrew my guard last year, and is the same DPC who has been brought to Mbale. Right Honorable Speaker, a month ago, again I experienced people trailing me in Mbale, and I went and reported at the police station. And by the time I went to report, that was now the 3rd time. And we even gave them the car number which was trailing me, and they said they were going to follow up and they would get back to me. And when I requested why they had withdrawn my police guard, they told me there is no manpower. Right Honorable Speaker, weeks ago, a letter was dropped in my home threatening me with death if I do not produce 400 million.
1 minute to conclude.
Right Honorable Speaker, I moved to the DPC and they tried to, I asked for security again, but he was reluctant until I had to engage the Minister of State for Internal Affairs, who also talked to the DPC and told him to give me security. Right Honorable Speaker, after 3 days, they gave me a police guard who was again withdrawn after 3 days. Right Honorable Speaker, this has caused a lot of anxiety in my place. And whenever I say something, they say that they are waiting for orders from above. And I don't know who this above is. And now since I've come to this August house, I need help because everybody in my home is living in fear, because it seems there is a deliberate move to see that I'm insecure. If at all I have guards and they are withdrawn. And when I asked for the former one I had, they said I have no authority to decide which guard I should have. That the ones that they should give me are the ones, and the one they withdrew again is threatened that he's going to be imprisoned while he came to guard my home. Yet it was again authorized by the same DPC. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm now scared. I'm living in fear with my children and my family. I don't know where to go next. Though I know God is protecting me, but it has run out of hand because all the time I have a problem and run to the DPC. They said they have no money power, yet even the ones I had were withdrawn. Why is it that even they can't give me the one I want, but want to give me, and for your information, Right Honorable Speaker, they've again transferred the very one that I...
Prayers, your prayers.
Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is that... Order. That I need a police guard of my choice, not dictated by the people who want to do harm to me. Because if I'm given a police guard of my choice, at least I know, much as God is protecting me, I will be safer than anybody else. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And both here in Seta and in Mbale, I want to thank you.
Okay, honourable members, it is true that some time back the Honourable Nakainza came to me and expressed worries, but I thought that somehow things had settled, but now it seems it's happening again. I think I will invite the Minister of Internal Affairs and the Prime Minister and the Chief Whip so that we can have a meeting to discuss how we can support the honourable member. Because I will convene the meeting. I'll convene the meeting possibly tomorrow so that we can discuss how to support the honourable member. Okay. Thank you. Honourable Abbott, 2 minutes.
Thank you, the Right Honourable Speaker. On Monday yesterday, when I was coming from the islands, I met a big team of teachers in Namaingo district intending to demonstrate over non-payment. The teachers of Namaingo have not been paid for the last 2 months. And when we were sitting with them, they were saying that the Minister of Finance has not released money to pay the teachers of Namaingo. It is my humble prayer that since the Minister is here for Finance, to come at least and air out the issue why the teachers of Namaingo have not been paid for the last 2 months.
Is the Minister of Finance in a position of public service? I don't see the Minister of Public Service. Can we ask the Minister of Public Service to come on Thursday and explain to us about the non-payment of teachers' salaries in the Namaingo district? Honorable Kajungu? Honorable Rosette?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance. on the current stockouts of contramaxazole and test kits for viral load and other infant diagnosis. Right Honorable Speaker, while I appreciate government efforts that have been put in the fight against HIV, it's unfortunate that currently across the country and in over 28 districts that have been sampled, these above health supplies are out of stock for a period ranging from 2 months to 6 months. Right Honorable Speaker, we know without test kits, health workers cannot do much, and when they fail to do their duty, not because they don't want, but because they don't have what to use, it jeopardizes the fight against HIV. And our dream of having a Uganda and a world without HIV is compromised. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to mention that in Imbarara, all the 4 health facilities that were sampled, these medicines and health supplies were out of stock. Right Honorable Speaker, these are my prayers. This rapid assessment was done by a coalition of health civil society organizations under the umbrella of Uganda Coalition for Access to Medicines. And Right Honorable Speaker, these are my prayers. 1, that the Minister of Health comes out and informs the nation of the status of stocks of Septrin, which we know when
What are your prayers? Quickly, your prayers.
Right Honorable Speaker, that the Minister of Health briefs the nation what is going on. 2, that if the problem is budget, can the Right Honorable Minister of Health ask for a supplementary budget, specifically ring-fenced, to cater for HIV/AIDS test kits and other infant diagnosis. 3, as a country, I think it is time to fast-track the AIDS Trust Fund, because we cannot continually and forever depend on development partners. And currently, this stockout, the development partners have done their part, but it is us as a country that we have not done our part. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honourable Member, is this a countrywide stockout or is it about Mbarara?
No, it's
a countrywide.
In 28 health facilities across the country.
Okay.
Mbarara inclusive.
Okay. We'll ask the Minister for Health to come and explain to the House whether indeed there is a stockout of the essential drugs and indeed what they expect to do to alleviate the situation, if she could come in on Thursday. Honorable Chekwel, 2 minutes. Lydia Chekwel.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to raise an issue of disaster that befell my people of Queen District. On the 10th, last week on Tuesday, there was heavy rain that came with a very strong wind that attacked Kirigi sub-county in Queen District. Right Honorable Speaker, it destroyed almost the whole center. It destroyed 55 grass-thatched houses, 194 semi-permanent houses, and 6 permanent houses. The roofs were blown off, and the wind was so strong that even the iron sheets actually were torn. So I stand to request government through OPM to come to the rescue of these people. They had foodstuffs that they had just harvested, so everything was destroyed. I ask government to provide food for them and the iron sheets. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much, Honourable Member. The Minister for Disaster Preparedness is asked to go and support the people of Kiriki Sub-County in Kwen District. But on a different note, I want to know from the government, the meteorologists have predicted that there will be very, very heavy rains from now until December. I want to know what plans the government has or what advice they can give the population, because every week there's something happening around the rain. Prime Minister, what is the government doing about the predicted very heavy rains from now until the end of the year? What do you advise these people of Uganda to do?
Right Honourable Speaker, this requires a formal statement to brief Parliament about the arrangement that government has done, which I'm unable to give right now.
It's quite urgent because every week there are issues coming up around the rain, around the heavy rains, destruction.
Yeah, but Right Honourable Speaker, some of the programs have been already put out, like saving our wetlands, which are working as sieves for when we receive much rains. The second one is the National Tree Planting Day, which His Excellency the President launched in order for us to save our environment. Because we know that when rains come and they find us blocking the ways for the stormy water, it escalates the problem. So the program is wide, and that's why I requested that probably we need to come back again with a comprehensive information paper to this August House. But this does not mean that we should ignore the very urgent issues to handle, especially where a bridge is broken, where people's gardens have been affected, where houses have been blown off. We shall not wait for the trees to grow. No, we'll have to come in as in disaster preparedness to make sure that we save more damage to the crops and to the human beings.
But I would be happy to hear the plan, the actual plan, the detailed plan of the government on this issue, the detailed plan. That's what I want to hear. Does the Minister for Environment have something to say? As she comes, join me in welcoming students and teachers from Danielson High School, from Bergen in Norway. You're welcome. They're here. Thank you. Yes. Welcome. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, yes, it's true, the flooding is an indication of our catchments not being well protected. As I speak now, Right Honorable Speaker, we've just concluded a meeting with the Minister of Education, and tomorrow I'll be meeting the Prime Minister. And we are coming on very vigorously, and we are going to take on more ministries because this is going to be an interministerial plan. We are launching a Go Green agenda, which is not going to leave anybody behind. We are choosing to use schools because, Right Honorable Speaker, just only in primary, we have 10 million children, and if we use the schools and started this program, we can be able to address this issue. Secondly, schools have a very strong linkage with the communities. So we want to address this as we know it is a concern, and we are taking it on seriously. I've already met Minister of Finance, and I will soon be coming to you so that we all move as a team to address this issue. Thank you very much.
Okay, Minister, we'll wait for your plan. We shall be here. Honorable Nsogu, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, there was heavy downpour and strong winds in my constituency, particularly in Kitswamba sub-county in Vigando Parish, where 2 schools' roofs were actually blown off, And also the building for one of the cooperative societies was also blown off. And also 11 residents' houses, their roofs were blown off. So it is a real and total disaster, Right Honorable Speaker, in that particular area of Bigando. I would like to ask the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness to particularly address the issue of the schools. And right now, the children have nowhere they are studying from. And yet today is a learning day, Right Honorable Speaker. So I would like the Ministry of Disaster to extend support to them in form of iron sheets for the schools, classroom blocks, and also the residents, the 11 houses which were blown off, and also the local credit and savings started building. And then too, Right Honorable Speaker, in the intermediate time, I would also ask the Minister and Minister of Disaster to extend at least taplings to the communities whose houses have actually been, whose roofs have been blown off, so that they can be housed somewhere, including food, Right Honorable Speaker.
Members, the Minister for Disaster Preparedness is urged to go urgently to Songora to address the disaster there, but also in respect to the schools, in a few weeks' time, the children will be sitting for their exams, so they need somewhere to sit. So I hope it can be addressed quickly. Honorable Peter Mugema.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of urgent national importance. I received with grief in our municipality the death of one of our girls by the names of Joy Chisache. She was aged 32. She had gone to Saudi Arabia to work as a housemaid. Right Honorable Speaker, the reason as to why I picked a lot of interest in this case, on the death certificate which accompanied it, the dead body, they had testified that she died from cardiac failure and heart-related issues. But on the examination of the dead body, when we received it from Entebbe, it had all of burns all over it. The head had been shattered, one of the breasts had been taken, even the labia tabia had been taken. The labia tabia, what normally women normally possess a lot, it had been removed. And I'll lay on table whatever I'm saying, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, they had even opened, I think, the whole of the human being to the extent that I think some of the parts had been taken. I beg to lay on table all the pictures of this girl. And to my surprise, Honorable Speaker, such many occurring incidents are happening, because even last week, I think on Friday, we were on NTV, and we watched almost similar incidents. Not the prayer, this was not your relative. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the pictures of this girl, as all her body was shattered, burnt beyond recognition, except the face and all other parts. I beg to lay this. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I beg that the line minister compels this
prayers.
I beg the line minister to compel Shukrani Company, it is called Shukran Habib, to give us a detailed account of really what our people normally go and do at that place. Because there is a possibility those companies are dealing in human flesh. They are dealing in human parts, and at the same time, they are taking away our girls and boys for granted. It is a request, the minister is here, and I was once your kid. So you take a lot of keen interest in this, and maybe also compel the company to first close its doors, and we make a thorough analysis of its operations. I beg to move.
The minister for gender is here. I don't know whether she has anything to say at this stage.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry I was delayed because I was trying to find out the company from Honorable Panado, but he has not given to me. It is sad that this has happened. I'll get the details and then we'll find out what actually happened. But for normally, even in Uganda, when you do post-mortem, you open up the body to get what is inside. So,
Madam Speaker, I'm talking with a lot of zeal and information and background since I have a medical background on my side. You are my mom, you are a veteran, you fought for this country, you would have used your integrity to see these pictures and find
Honorable,
out, really look at the body.
Honorable member, you should conduct yourself with decorum. Conduct yourself with decorum, please. Yes, Minister. She will see them. Honorable, she will see them. She will see them.
Madam Speaker.
Order, order.
Madam Speaker, what Honorable Panado should recognize that I'm a mother who has gone through the labor ward not once. At least that begs that I know the pain that every parent should go through when one loses a child. But I was only responding to the fact that he said the body was burnt beyond it. That I did not comment on. But he commented that the body was also opened up. And I said that in normal post-mortem practice, yes, they open up the body. But I also submitted that I'll get the report from him and come back to Parliament and make a statement, because I'm hearing this for the first time, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Mpuga. Mpuga.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you for your indulgence. The manner in which the Honourable Mugema brought the matter could have been a little bit comical in a way, but speaks to the gravity of the challenge. And I'm inclined to believe that the issue of labor export in this country, if not properly handled, could be the biggest failure of our times as leaders. Because not once, not twice, this matter has arisen on this floor, and somewhere, somehow, orders have been given by the Speaker, and somewhere, somehow, the order has either fizzled or somebody doesn't follow up. Madam Speaker, as a way of seeking your guidance, isn't it time that Parliament deeply, more than ever before, interests itself in this matter? Because last week, I was on TV and I saw 3 bodies being offloaded from the Middle East, and they were saying 2 are from Kuwait, another one was from somewhere. I said, now, bodies just coming in. Madam Speaker, there could be a bigger problem, and we shall never be forgiven if we do not go to the root of this problem, Madam Speaker. Can we be guided, Madam Speaker, how best we can deal with this once and for all, Madam Speaker? I remember one time you had ordered, indeed you ordered that export stops and investigations are done and a report made on individual companies and their operations. We never had that here. The minister has explained that they have a procedural arrangement of license.
I'll conclude.
Thank you. My challenge is that we are likely to really be hovering over this over and going nowhere. Isn't it about time, Madam Speaker, that Parliament moves to investigate this problem and solve it once and for all? Because no longer labor export, there is a bigger problem, Madam Speaker, and we are grossing over it, apparently. I need to be guided, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. And I want to thank my colleague, Honourable Peter Mugema. for bringing across the latest version of what is taking place in the Arab world against Ugandans. Madam Speaker, this issue is not an isolated issue. We have been here lamenting over Ugandans being stranded in the Arab world. At times you even want to think whether government is sensitive. Just the other day, as Honorable Mpuga put it, 3 bodies were brought back, reportedly that the Ugandans fell sick while in Kuwait, and then they died eventually. And when you listen to the relatives, they had spoken to the relatives while in Kuwait and were not complaining of any sickness until when they could not speak to them, then eventually it was sad news that they had passed on. There is something fishy taking place against Ugandans in the Arab world. In 1974-76, it took the whole cabinet of Israel to come and rescue the natives of that country because they had been put in some safe custody around Entebbe airport. We are failing Ugandans to where they are being killed. Do we have embassies? Does the government, Honorable Minister, we've been lamenting in her presence here. There is even seemingly no communication between Uganda and the countries where Ugandans are dying from. Right Honorable Speaker, I think it is paramount that the minister comes up with a comprehensive statement, actually, first of all, explaining how Uganda has been corresponding with the other world, where Ugandans are being.
Honourable members, you know, the government of Uganda does not have missions in every country. There are countries who have no representation. So even monitoring from far is also a problem. But anyway, we shall discuss it. Wamai?
Thank you very much.
I think we'll need a formal discussion. Speak and then we conclude.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue of Ugandans suffering in the Middle East is coming on this floor, not for the first time. On the Committee of Foreign Affairs, we summoned the Minister of Labor. She came and we told her the problems. The testimonies of girls who had returned from those countries, and the minister could not accept. She even told us, no, when she's in Saudi Arabia, she shares food with those people, and we're all doing well. But we keep getting information from our girls, from our people who are suffering in Jordan, in Saudi Arabia, and many of those countries. And the government has not taken this issue seriously. Now, Madam Speaker, I advised that the government had better borrow a leaf, go to International Labour Organization in Geneva and look at the agreements. The way other workers are treated, they are not treated like Ugandans. Even Kenyans are treated much better. Look at the Filipinos, who have got more than 10 million people working abroad. They are treated differently. But Ugandans are being treated like slaves. They are being killed. And this government is just looking on. They are not doing anything at all. I've got a picture from a girl from my village. She's in Jordan. They've taken our passport. She's suffering. And they keep sending pictures to all of us here. So government should act and rescue our people. Nigeria went and rescued its people in South Africa. But this government is just looking on, and our people are suffering in the Middle East. And they are suffering because government cannot create employment for people. People leave this country because they've got nothing to do. And this has also increased in insecurity.
This just came as a matter of national importance, so we really cannot debate it fully today. I think we need a formal motion so that we can have a debate, a focused debate, and give it sufficient time. So I will allow, at the appropriate time, we'll allow a motion. But let's hear from the Minister.
Madam Speaker, you ruled, I think, 2 weeks ago, that all these issues should go to a joint committee of gender and another committee. And I'm appearing before the committee. So this new information should also go to the committee as I do my research also. I'm preparing to go to the committee as you directed.
Okay, let the committee receive the information. They'll have to come back and report to us anyway so that we can debate the report. Okay, thank you. Honorable Gwal.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm rising under Rule 53, subsection 1. I would like to inform the House that tomorrow this Parliament is going to hold a Thanksgiving prayer in compliance with the resolution which was passed on the 29th of May. Right Honorable Speaker, members will recall that it was resolved that Thanksgiving be held to thank God for restoring the health of our Speaker. We feel very bad that we have not been able to do it because Parliament got so busy with the budget process and at the same time with CPC preparation activities. But Right Honorable Speaker, we have realized as Christians and God-fearing people that if your life had not been spared, or if you were crippled by the sickness, even this CPC would not have been held. So we are extremely, extremely grateful to God that we have been given this opportunity to host the entire Commonwealth in Uganda. And if you had not been there, it would have been difficult. So that's why we feel, as the Bible says, God first and the rest can follow. So we feel that as Parliament, we should put God first. We should hold this Thanksgiving prayer tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. so that when the CPC itself takes place, at least we would have given honor to the Lord. Prayers. Prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, is to ask all the members to participate in that prayer meeting because all of us are involved. We are praying for the institution of Parliament, we are praying for government, we are praying for success of the CPC, and therefore I'm expecting all the members, cabinet members, and all the institutions, including the judiciary, and on the members of the cabinet, we are expecting them to be there. And Right Honorable Speaker, I've observed something very unique today. I think both whips of the government and opposition need to be congratulated today. The participation has been very impressive, and I want to give a special recognition and thanks to the two whips. I thank you very much.
The venue.
The venue is here. We are the host, and it has to be here in our home. And you might have seen there is something going on at the entrance, the South Wing entrance. That's where the venue will be. It will be able to accommodate all of us. So please don't fear that I will not have enough. And we are prayed there will be no rain. So I don't think anybody would fear that there will be rain. We have already prayed.
Honourable members, assemble at 7 o'clock for the prayers so that we can go quickly do other work. Thank you very much. Now, honourable members, we go to item 3. Honourable Latigo.
Item 3, Dengo Papers. A report Parliament from the 10th Conference of Speakers held in Midrand, South Africa.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable members, between the 5th and the 7th of August this year, the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga, our Speaker, joined the Speakers of Africa for the 10th Conference of Speakers, and this meeting was held at the Pan-African Parliament headquarters in Midrand, South Africa. The theme of the meeting was towards durable solutions for forced migration to accelerate integration and development in Africa, the role of national and regional parliaments. Honorable members, in a characteristic, efficient way, the Right Honorable Speaker prepared a report of our participation in that conference. And as all of us know, the Right Honorable Speaker cannot lay our report on the table. I'm privileged to have been requested to lay the report on our behalf. But before I do so, allow me, honorable members, on behalf of my colleagues of the Pan-African Parliament, to sincerely thank the Right Honorable Speaker. She has consistently participated in all the conferences of speakers.
Yes, Honorable Genga.
Yeah, she has ably represented us, and on our behalf and on behalf of all of you, I would like to thank the Speaker. And it is my honor now to lay the report of the Speaker on the table. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay your report on the table.
Thank you very much. The report is available for the members to study and to use. Thank you. On 3A, 3B.
Item 3B, agreements of the third session of the Joint Ministerial Commission between the Republic of Uganda and the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia.
Minister of Trade. Minister of Trade. Item 4.
Item 4, statement by Minister on the irregular recruitment of non-natives on the quotas of other districts during the recently concluded recruitment exercise by Uganda Police Force.
Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs.
Right Honorable Speaker, I saw this morning that were on the order paper to make the statement which the clerk has just read. I want to apologize for the following reasons that I don't have that statement now. Yes, the reason is when that decision was taken in Parliament on Thursday for us to come and make a statement here, we were not communicated the text to the ministry. Secondly, the two ministers, one was in Moroto and the other one was on his way to Kigali. And this morning when we were informed that we were on the paper, we called the police leadership and tried to get from the extract of the debate from the
Honourable members, please allow your please allow the minister to tell us his position, then you can comment, please.
Thank you. We called the police leadership and tried to ascertain the issues which were raised by members. Of course, as I said, we have not got the specific issues which were concerned. This recruitment was concerned, but we understand one was that the members are concerned that people who are not resident in their areas, or as the statement says, people who are not natives in their areas were recruited. That means for us to make a statement here, we need to bring the list of people who were registered district by district, so that you can ascertain whether they are natives in quotes or they are residents in quotes, so that you're able to ascertain that. We in the ministry are in the process of preparing that statement, and I beg your indulgence, Right Honorable Speaker, since we want to have a very comprehensive statement with a full list of people who are recruited, including possibly some of those who reported to the senders, because we have a list of people who reported to the recruitment senders, we are asking for time so that we make the statement on Thursday. Secondly, there was an issue raised about a decision of Parliament as communicated by you regarding the Speaker, regarding the reporting of people for training. Yes, the communication by the IGP for the recruits to report was made on Wednesday, because the police accounts committee sits every Wednesday. That is their meeting day. And by the time Parliament took that decision on Thursday evening, that communication had already been made, and some of the recruits from up country had already started arriving. However, yes, the reporting process is not the completion of the recruitment. There's another screening which goes on at the reporting. One, people, listen, yes.
Order.
One, the academic papers of the people will be ascertained again. The origin of the people will be ascertained again, whether they are the natives we are talking about. The medical condition of those people will be ascertained again, and the training does not start until all that process is completed in about a week or two's time. So on Thursday, we're tabling the position here, and members should access the lists that will be tabled here and ascertain them from their areas, and then they can make the statements. That is the request that I'm making through you, Right Honorable Speaker, so that we give people the correct information. Thank you.
Honour members, you requested for the information which the minister is looking for. No, honour members, let him present his statement, let him bring you the lists from all the districts so that you can cross-check whether the people who are there are really from there or they are not from there. So let's give him time until Thursday to bring a comprehensive list. Thursday. Matter deferred to Thursday. Get ready for Thursday with your information so that you can challenge him. Next item. Order. Next item.
Item 5, redesignation of members to sectoral committees in accordance with Rule 184 of the Rules of Procedure.
Honorable Yanga? Not here. Next item.
Item 6, responses by ministers to issues raised. 1, on the status of pledges by the Prime Minister of India, H.E. Narendra Modi, during the address to the House on 20th July 2018.
I don't see the Minister for General Duties, but as the Minister comes, we have Mr. Gerima Mustafa. I don't know where he is. Mr. Mustafa, please stand up. He's walked from Parliamentary Avenue to Arua on foot to campaign for, to raise awareness about the dangers of cutting down the shea nut trees. You're welcome. Okay. And he comes from Arua, represented by Honorable Atiku and Honorable Osoru Maureen. You're welcome. Minister, on the issue of the pledges by Prime Minister Modi.
Did you work with? Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister and colleagues, members of Parliament. Honorable Karoro Okrut has been delegated to perform the function by the Prime Minister, and she requested me to read her statement, and I beg that you allow me to read the statement in response to the issues as they were raised by Honorable Robert Intende regarding the visit of the His Excellence, the Prime Minister of India, during the first meeting of the 4th session of the 10th Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you recall that during the visit of the Prime Minister, His Excellence, the Prime Minister, the following offers, among others, were made. First, on the lines of credit, the construction of electricity line and substation of US dollars 141 millions and US dollars 64 millions for agriculture and dairy sector development. And I would like to respond as follows. That for the line of credit to finance importation of industrial machinery for agricultural value addition on the advice of the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the Minister of Foreign Affairs requested the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to develop a concept paper regarding the utility, value and areas of operation to be funded by the line of credit. And to date, no response has been received.
Yes, come again on that issue. I was reading through the order paper.
Right Honorable Prime Minister and colleagues, on the line of credit to finance importation of industrial machinery for agricultural value addition, on the advice of the Minister of Finance, Planning and Development and Economic Development, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs requested the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, because this is the ministry in charge of the machinery which we wanted, to develop a concept paper regarding the utility, the value, and the areas of operation to be funded by the line of credit which was promised by the visiting Prime Minister. And no response has been received.
No response from the Minister of Trade?
Yes.
Okay.
And the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development reviewed these lines of credit in light of Ugandan National Debt Strategy and concluded that it was not prudent to contract this credit as it would adversely affect the national debt situation. That was an advice from the Minister of Finance regarding that facility. Two, on the offer of 88 vehicles for both military and civilian use, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is in constant contact with the Indian government, and tendering for these vehicles has been concluded, and the delivery is expected early next year, 2-3 months from now. On the offer of the Babatron cancer therapy machine to the Uganda Cancer Institute, The machine arrived in the country and it is under installation and it will soon be launched. On the Mahatma Gandhi Culture Center at the source of the Nile, the Minister of Foreign Affairs handed over the project to the responsible ministry. This is the ministry in charge of tourism, wildlife and antiquities. We are, however, informed that the local government in Jinja has failed to avail land at the source of the Nile as required by the donor. Five, on the National Convention Center, Madam Speaker, India offered to build for Uganda a world-class convention center named after Mahatma Gandhi. Uganda had to provide unencumbered land in Entebbe for that project. The Ministry of Lands and Urban Development has failed to provide the land. I don't remember the acreage, but it was a big land because this center would include many facilities, and therefore there has been no progress on this project. The Minister of Foreign Affairs has advised that urgent action be taken as further delay on the implementation of these projects may cause withdrawal of the outstanding offers. I'd like to thank Honorable Ntende, who raised these questions, because it has also awakened us in the office of the Prime Minister, who are in charge of monitoring, to push the ministries who are supposed to provide for the facilities required to implement the offer given to us. And I want to request you, Right Honorable Speaker, that I inform my Prime Minister to make sure that the requirement from Jinja, for example, where we need land, even if it means calling the local government from Jinja to discuss with them, is completed as soon as possible so that we don't miss that offer at the source of the Nile.
Information.
Information, Honorable Anifa.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for giving way. I want to inform the Minister that some years back, like 10 years back, I happened to be in India, and I happened to attend some meetings, and the government of India gave the government of Uganda a piece of land where the government of Uganda was supposed to construct our Ugandan High Commission. Up to now, they could not, and the offer had to elapse. Now I'm hearing another one, and from the same Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's the information I wanted to give you, because the Minister of Land was not the one to give land in India. Land was given. Thank you.
Honourable members, yes, I appreciate the information by Honourable Anifa Kawoya, but we are talking about the government of Uganda providing land here in the country to build those two facilities, the one in Entebbe and the one in Jinja. That's what we are talking about. Have you finished, Minister? Have you finished? Oh, you finished. Your Honourable Ted was Honourable Ted's question. Supplementary? Is it supplementary?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister and the Government Chief Whip for reading the statement. Right Honourable Speaker, the statement about Jinja local government not availing land has a lot to be desired, because we personally and other members of parliament, we interacted with the local government of Jinja. The land is available, And if the government wants even tomorrow, they are free to go and verify this land. And two, our ambassador to India is a former mayor of Jinja. When I talked to him recently after raising this matter, he also confirmed very clearly to me that, honorable member, the land is available. And the Indian government is very much willing. And actually, they have actually asked him, this is what he told me, 3 times, when will the pledge that they actually pledged to Uganda be implemented in Jinja? That's 3 times. And for him, his hands are tied. Information.
Now, other members, I think I want to direct the Minister for Lands to ascertain whether there is land and report here on Thursday. Also the land in Entebbe. We want to know whether it is there. It would be really deplorable for a friend like Prime Minister Modi to give us so much and we don't use them.
Further information.
No, Minister for Lands, I want an assurance that on Thursday you come here and confirm the existence of that land and how much.
Much obliged, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Next item.
Next item. Item 6.2 on the deplorable state of roads in Agago district.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to raise a matter of procedure. On the 3rd of September, I was away, but I looked at the Hansard extracts. Honorable Kabatsi answered my question on foot and mouth disease in an unsatisfactory manner. She attributed the part on which I had talked about Mr. Mulindwa reintroducing that disease as being handled by the Minister for Security, and she didn't address the lack of vaccines and the lack of acaricides. Some children have still failed to go back to school. So I would want this matter to be reintroduced on the order paper. It's now 2 weeks from then, but on the 3rd, it was more than a month from the time when I had initially asked the question. Thank you.
Well, remember, I was asked the clerk to study the answer on the Hansard and see whether it was not well answered, and if it wasn't, put it back on the order paper. Item 6.2. 6.2, Minister of Works.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, this statement is presented in response to a matter raised at the 23rd sitting of the first meeting of the first session of the 10th Parliament by Honourable Judith Akero Franca, District Woman Representative Agago, concerning the poor road network in some parts of Agago District, particularly Clark, Kona, Moroto, via Beam, Leke, Bridge, Patongo, Kalongo, Bulungi section between Loki to Kalongo, and Adelangi, Lirakato, Lapono, Paimol, Omia, Pachwa to Namakola. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the Minister of Works and Transport has a clear record of the state of these roads. The roads in reference were under term maintenance, which ended in financial year 2017-2018, and were planned for framework contract phase 2, which has delayed in procurement. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the Ministry is also faced with inadequate funds following the reduction of the National Road Maintenance Funds this financial year, despite the increasing maintenance backlog. From the foregoing, these are the interventions that are planned for each road section. 1. Kiraka Corner via Beam is planned to receive grading, drainage, improvement works, and spot graveling using first account under Chitugum Station in Q2, which is beginning a few weeks from now. 2. Loki Bridge, Patong, Kalango, Buluj section is currently receiving grading, drainage improvement works, and swamp filling using force account under Chitukum Station in this quarter. And 3, Adlang, Lirakato, Lapono, Paimol, Pachwa, Namakola is planned to receive grading, drainage improvement works, and spot graveling using force account under Chitukum Station in quarter 2. The Minister of Works and Transport, under its mandate, is committed to ensuring that all roads are well maintained in motorable conditions. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, I beg to submit. Thank you.
Any supplementary? Honorable Franca.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for at last coming out with the statement. It is true that there are some spot work being done, especially on the Loke, Kalongo, Buluji. But Madam Speaker, I wanted to let the Minister know that most of this maintenance work are done shoddily. For example, the current work going on that road is just grading. And when you simply do grading, the moment it rains, no maram has been put on the road. Whoever wants to risk passing that road does not go through. You have to get stuck on the road because there is no maram on the road. So as you plan activities of sport services like that, there has to be some bit of budget for maram as well. However, Madam Speaker, with that report, with that feedback from the ministry, I await the performance of the budget for quarter 2 as the minister states. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
6.3.
6.3 on the fate of teachers missing out on salary due to lack of national IDs.
Minister of Public Service, not there. 6.4.
6.4 on the incursion of elephants into Yam district and the subsequent disruption of livelihood, destruction of property, and loss of lives.
Minister of Tourism. 6.5.
6.5 on the destruction of over 40 grass-thatched huts and buildings at Risai Primary School by hailstorm.
Minister of Disaster Preparedness. 6.6.
6.6 on the murder of one of your Samuel in Ngora by unknown assailants.
Minister of Internal Affairs, not there. Next item. Now, honourable members, I've received a request from Honourable Bumba. Should have wanted us to handle the loan request before we go to the bill. I don't know if you have any problem with that. Can we handle the loan request first and then go to the bill? There's a request from the Chair of the National Economy. The loan first.
Madam Speaker, our rules of procedure, Rule 178, that provides for the select committees. In the month of February this year, I and the MP from Zombo raised the matter of an eviction in Chigorobia, Chabisagazi village. And the select committee was put in place, but up to today, and it was supposed to take only 45 days to report. Up to today, we have never seen that report. People are already out of their homes, and the sugarcane is already growing. It is almost flowering. So, Madam Speaker, I'm raising on that matter so that you guide us on the next step to take. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, I will ask the clerk to ascertain the status of that activity, and I will advise you tomorrow. Now, can we go to the... Okay, we had already started on the bill. We had received the 2 reports. That's item 7. We had received 2 reports, the majority and the minority, and I had invited members to go and read during the weekend so that you can submit from a point of knowledge on that issue. So the floor is open. The floor is open.
Item 7, Bill second reading, the Fiscal Planning Amendment Bill 2018, debate ensues.
Honourable members, you listen to both reports. No, you cannot. You made your minority report. Wait for members to comment. Yes, Honourable Otieno. 3 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I read through this report, and I have 3 issues that I want to raise. One, Madam Speaker, is regarding the issue of there are 2 reports, Madam Speaker, concerning the Secretariat, Madam Speaker. I looked through the report, and I want to say I want to concur with the decision of the committee. Actually, when I looked at the functions of the board, I realized that majority of the functions are more of day-to-day administrative work. That if we leave it to the Secretariat manned by and the Department of Government, it may not discharge its work effectively. So I'm of the opinion, Honourable Speaker, and I would ask my colleagues that we support the committee position that the Secretariat be retained and adequately equipped to enable it to carry out the day-to-day administrative work. That having said that, Right Honourable Speaker, I also noted that what we are doing is to take down the fiscal planning role work up to the sub-county level. And to me, it means we are going down to the village level. And we are leaving much of this work in the hands of sub-county chiefs. I am not so sure whether these sub-county chiefs have been or are going to be adequately trained in physical planning to handle the kind of work we are assigning to them. Right Honourable Speaker, my fear is that I have looked through the report, I have scanned through the bill itself, and I don't see any safeguard which is being provided to protect the ordinary citizens from the usual practice of high-handedness of civil servants whenever they are implementing government policies. Right Honourable Speaker, it is not very, it is still fresh in our minds. Reasons why government had to scrap gratuity tax because of the way the civil servants were actually collecting that gratuity tax. The ordinary person was very much inconvenienced, and it had become a burden to the citizens of this country, and that's why there was a lot of resistance. I see a similar thing coming up in this law, Right Honourable Speaker, whereby we are now delegating a very crucial responsibility to civil servants at low levels with no requisite skills and technical competence to enable them carry out this responsibility. And I don't see anywhere in the bill a safeguard whereby the people can have a recourse in a situation whereby they find themselves at the wrong end of the civil servants. There is nowhere they can.
Half a minute to conclude. Just conclude.
Oh, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The board, which is being instituted, is only to handle appeals from the committees. But there is nowhere in the bill or in the report of the committee where it is provided for the citizens, the ordinary citizens, who are aggrieved by the decisions of the sub-county chiefs, where they can take recourse to. Right, Honourable Speaker, I find this as a very serious omission that we need to address in this bill. Then finally, Right, Honourable Speaker, another thing I realized was that, and I don't see why the report is silent about it, there is a provision whereby they are now asking people to go for civil litigation in case they have a fear or a feeling that their rights may be injured. Right, Honourable Speaker, my dilemma is, the bill is now litigating, we are legislating to the point that you go to a court and you don't need to provide the proof.
Honorable Karunji, then Honorable Abala, 3 minutes each.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm standing here just to get a clarification. I was in the House when we are working on this bill, and I heard the Prime Minister himself supporting that we don't need the authority. And when I go through, I see as if the provisions are still there. So I wanted some clarification so that we can flow together very well. Thank you, Madam Speaker. He said we don't need an authority. He also supported that we don't need an authority. But when I go through the provisions, I see the provisions are still there, and as if members are supporting everything. So I wanted to know.
Honour members, I don't think he actually said that. I asked him what is the position about mergers, non-mergers. I told him that this House has never received information about that issue. And then he said, oh, we are still thinking, and so on and so forth. Yes, that's what he said.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I have since perused the Hansard, which recorded the proceedings on that day, and I realized that the minority report, in the statement that was made before this House, its major point of departure and or contention relates to the creation of the Secretariat. And I want Madam Speaker to say that this bill is consistent with and it follows the decision of the Cabinet. I have I have with me a Cabinet minute stating categorically approving the Physical Planning Amendment Bill of 2018 to provide for, one, the creation of a secretariat to facilitate the Physical Planning Board, headed by a director, to enable the board effectively perform its functions and enforce the law. Madam Speaker, I would like to lay this on the table and bring it to your attention. This is the directive I have, and it's the directive I am following. I beg to lay.
Honourable Abala, no clarification. There is no one on the floor. Honourable Abala.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you so much for giving the opportunity. But I'm worried. I want to begin from that point, because last week the Prime Minister was very clear on this very table. Last week, very clear, the Prime Minister himself, Ndugu Rogonda. And that's why for me, Madam Speaker, the issue to deal with the independent secretariat, in my view, we should do away with it. Because number one, it is disarming the local governments in this country. Remember, we're operating on the decentralized arrangement. Now, because now this one is going to emphasize about only at the center, and nothing at the sub-county, nothing at the district, and that becomes a problem. In my view, is that we must build a capacity of all the districts, of all local governments in this country. But this type of arrangement here is going to disarm, and at the end of the day, we shall be on the losing side. Remember, the entire country is a planning area. Now, if we are talking about a secretariat, we are talking about a board now here. To me, I'm not in support of that element, because that independent secretariat, we are creating a power center, a cost center. Remember, as we talk now,
half a minute, Otio.
Otio, yes. Madam Speaker, as you know, there are many in this country. We have what's called the resource envelope is a problem. Now, creating now an independent secretariat means budgetary issues, means you need a lot of support. And in my opinion, is that having this is another problem. My view is, let us remove this, and we must delete it, and we must support the rest. For me, the rest I agree, but this is one here, I am not in agreement. I thank you so much.
No, Suranyi Majezi Asidri and Pamizo.
Thank you, Right Honorable. I want to stand and add my voice on the creation of the Secretariat. Right Honorable Speaker, I have seen a lot of duplication when it comes to creation of secretariats, creation of authorities, and if we continue doing this, we are not going to go far, because we have a ministry that is established with the ministers, with the workers, with the PS, then we create a secretariat, then again we create a secretariat within a secretariat. I think this is expanding and increasing public expenditure. As a country and as a parliament, we should start to be conscious. We should start to be conscious ourselves and be careful on these numerous creations that we are making. It may be something that came from cabinet, but I really feel it is not right, and it is something that we cannot support as this House. I do not agree with that. I was not here when the Prime Minister was saying, I don't know whether he rejected or what, but me as a member of Parliament, I do not agree, Madam Speaker, and that is why I wanted to add my voice. I don't want the creation of another secretariat or authority.
Honorable Majezi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank the committee for their report. I have comments as follows. First, on the terms and conditions of the board. Madam Speaker, I think it is not wise to leave this completely at the discretion of the minister. There are certain things that should be embedded in the law. The number, the composition, the qualifications of those to be on the board, as well as their duration. I think this should be specified in the law. Secondly, the relationship between the board and the local governments. I appreciate what the members are saying, but so long as we agree that there should be a board, then we'll have to give it a secretariat. And for me, it is not a contradiction, it is not a duplication. But I think the problem I see is usurping the powers of the local governments. And I think that's, for me, what is not acceptable. We can have a secretariat, we can have a board, but in terms of approval of the plans of the local governments, can we leave this to the councils so that the board and the secretariat concern with themselves with approval of the national physical plan? In terms of the appeal, why do we say if you have a complaint at the sub-county, you come to the national level to do what? This can be handled by the district. There should be levels at the local governments. For me, chair of the committee, this is something that you need to streamline. We need, under the functions, we need to streamline very seriously the functions of the board vis-a-vis the functions of the local government councils. And then finally, strengthening planning, physical planning at the lower local government. In the law, the sub-counties are given a function of wealth creation, economic planning, now physical planning. There are two things that we need to do. First, we need to have an economist at that level. We have the staff, but they are, now we're talking of the CDO, the Community Development Officer, the sub-county chief. We need somebody specialized at that level. And secondly, we need to give them funds Because I see the proposal that, you know, the planning will be done at the cost of the local governments. From where? This is an additional responsibility which should come with additional funding. I support the committee report, and I thank them for the good job done. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
No, Achidri.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, this bill is timely and it was long overdue, especially for those of us who are about to, regarding the bill. In my opinion, the bill assumes that the lack of physical planning in this country was due to the fact that we didn't have an institution to implement the laws. One of the critical problems of poor physical planning in this country is the issue of land tenure system, which we have not resolved. So I don't know how the bill intends to deal with spatial development planning when actually the issue of land ownership is a major hindrance in organized planning within this country called Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, the second concern I have is in relation to merging socioeconomic planning together with physical planning. The National Planning Authority in this bill will only participate through a member who will be seconded on the board. I'm not sure whether that is enough to ensure we merge both physical and socioeconomic planning, because one of the challenges National Planning Authority has had is their mandate was quite limited in terms of extending their expertise in ensuring organized physical planning in this country. Number three, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not sure whether this bill benchmarked with other countries. I would like to give an example of the National Planning Commission in South Africa. The National Planning Commission is decentralized up to provincial administrative level. But you will see that the kind of development plans, the spatial development plans that the provincial development commissions have developed in South Africa are extremely good, they are wonderful, and does not cause any sort of confusion in relation to spatial development planning. So in summary, this bill is creating another institution, but it is not critically looking at the causes of the lack of physical planning in this country. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the committee for coming out with this thorough report. I also thank the proponents of the law, especially now that we are seeing a lot of urbanization in our areas. I have, however, seen some limited concentration on sanctions, and I think we are also mixing issues where we are going to see blame being shifted. We have created so many centers. I can see the board, the roles of the board are not separated from the roles of the urban councils. They're also not separated from NEMA. So at the end of the day, we are going to see people shifting blames. I'm worried we may find somebody saying that is not my work. So how are we going to separate the different roles? My other matter is about the component for compensation. You are aware that there are some projects or some properties that may be in existence before these physical plans come into place. Now, in case it comes and my building is already existing, how are we going to compensate this road that is passing through my piece of land? I need some clarification on those few items. Otherwise, we need this law so that we have planned cities. I thank
No,
you,
Nandala.
Madam Speaker.
Nandala unda mukitale ule mpunga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think we are making a huge mistake. A few days ago, or sometime we said Uganda has a lot of authorities, a lot of boards, and these are public, a cost centers to the taxpayers' money. In the Ministry of Lands, there's a department for physical planning. I wish Mr. Honorable Elisha was here. Honorable Elisha was here. The reason I'm raising it is that the physical planning department is basically in charge of the physical planning up to the lower level. And the development is not necessarily only in cities or towns, but also in villages there is development. There are places which are gazetted as wetlands. There are places which are gazetted as forests. There are even roads. There's a way how you can manage that. So, Madam Speaker, it would be wrong for us to come here and say we want to create another body, that there will be a board. Then that means every department in Uganda must have a what? A board. Yeah, because if we have economics, they must have a body for economics. Geography, there must be a body for geography. That's how you want to go. But here, physical planning is in every center. So what we would do is that, first and foremost, what do we want to achieve? We don't need to have a taxpayer's money being wasted on plans. There's a National Planning Authority, has come up and known what it is. There are every sub-county knows what to do. And for me, what would be meaning now is that every district should have its own physical planning committee. Every sub-county, even the parish, they should have, so that anything to be done in the area, that committee is the one which deals with it. Cities should be the same. But for us to come here that we want to make a board with authority, with a secretariat. In fact, when you talk of an executive director, in fact, the executive director, you're meaning like authority. There will be with authority, because the executive director must have authority. You'll be like other authorities which are here. So for me, what is the physical planning department of Ministry of Lands having? What's their problem? Why are they not implementing the plans which they are talking about? What is the problem? I have seen here in Kampala, there was a time, Kampala City Council here, when there was really a department of physical planning, a whole road was closed here in Nakasero. Nobody complained. Where people just made something and kept quiet. So the problem is that people have wrong mindset that they are going to build in wetlands, they are going to build on roads.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and the committee for this effort. Madam Speaker, whereas I'm an advocate of National Physical Development Plan, and cities for that matter, regional cities and regional governments, I'm constrained not to agree because of the piecemeal and ad hoc manner in which we are approaching a very important subject matter in line with National Physical Planning Act 2010, which makes the whole country a planning area. I expected Minister Wariomunsa and my Muzukulu to bring the whole integrated multi-sectoral National Physical Development Plan. I did raise this when we were discussing the road bill a few months ago. We are scratching part of this effort. Tomorrow there will be housing. Why don't we do it in an integrated manner? Because right now, even now in the Albertine area, we have a problem. Lands has struggled really to help the energy sector and oil and gas, but they have usurped the powers of a local government. Fiscal planning is a centralized function. Under devolution, fiscal planning should be right from the lower level. So why then, is it a policy reversal? So I would like to urge that sanity prevails. We look at it in totality, in an integrated manner, roads, whatever want to, the fiscal planning function itself, Because for us who advocated for regional cities and regional governments, this is some of the mandate of our regional governments. Now you are creating another authority at the center. Again, this is again against the spirit of rationalization and mergers. Why are we creating more cost centers at the time when we agreed in the Kisanja Kuna Mchezo 3 years ago that we are going to do mergers and rationalize? I thought, Minister, you would concede that you have a very important National Physical Development Plan. Yes, I'll take the information.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, and the Honorable Mukitale for giving way. I just rose to give you information that the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development is in the process of completing the National Physical Development Plan. And we shall soon be coming. But that should be differentiated from the bill. Yes, we have the Physical Planning Act of 2010, which is in place, which establishes physical planning committees in the local governments and also the National Physical Planning Board. It exists. But the challenge we have found that the board under the current law has remained weak. So the proposals which are in the amendment bill are aimed at strengthening the National Physical Planning Board so that there is a functional umbilical cord between the national board and the lower level physical planning councils or boards. So therefore, the intent of this amendment bill is to strengthen the existing National Physical Planning Board so that it has teeth, it has capacity, and is able to link and superintend over the local government planning committees. That's the intention. But the physical planning plan, the National Physical Development Plan, shall be coming soon to Parliament. I thank you very much.
Right Honorable Speaker, it's good the Minister has considered that what is primary is being held in the Ministry and Cabinet, and they have brought what should be secondary. From a planning background, planning comes first, the law comes later, it is planning, it is the policy, it is the law, then you bring in these boards. But we are moving in reverse order, and that's why you are complicating this rationalization study which has been made. One of the arguments why they are saying, but it is you, Parliament, who made all these laws of UNRA, of these mineral sectors. So we are now being blamed for having made so many laws, making it difficult to go back to what is supposed to be the right thing. Right Honorable Speaker, through you, I would like to request that government goes back and reorganizes. Can you bring, I've looked at your document from 3 consultancies. It's a very good job you have done, but you've kept it to yourself. Parliament is not aware. We are even suffering with these multiple land acquisitions because you've not brought on table what you should have brought 10 years ago. Kindly, Minister, help this country if you love it, if you want to save money, if you want us to have multi-sectoral integrated planning. Bring the National Physical Development Plan first, then these other things will follow.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to support the proposal by the Honorable Mukitale that government withdraws this bill, go and complete the national physical planning, and then come back when everything is in place. I used to sit on the Committee on Physical Infrastructure. The department for the one that is responsible for urban planning in the ministry is in itself almost non-existing, because it used to have almost a budget of less than 200 million shilling with a director, with no vehicle. Those of us who represent urban areas, and I disagree with Honorable Magezi, who wants every area to plan for itself. You have no country. I'll give you a personal example. In Wakiso district, people who are responsible for issuing a permission to build will ask you, do you want a permit, a field one or the one of office? The one they issue in the field, you give them 100,000, then you can build day and night, they will never come to check on you. The one of office, you go and give 200 and then it has its own limitation. You simply can't have a country where every village plans for itself. There are countries you go to visit in the Middle East, Dubai, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, even the lights they put on their streets, they will decide this particular street is going to have bulbs that are white. Even when you're overflying, you will see a road that is coordinated. You can't have Chira with its plan, Mukono with its plan. In fact, I wanted to support the strengthening of the board. The only problem is that you have not finished the physical development plan. My own view, Madam Speaker, is that government withdraws this particular bill, bring a comprehensive bill that addresses all these issues. The councillors that you pay, you know how much you pay them. They are the ones who are supervising these individuals. In Chira, you will find a factory in a residential area. You will find a lodge near a church. You will find a tax park near. So it is complete chaos. And to address them, you need to decentralize planning with a budget, with staff. But they are, my colleagues who are in the ministry are trying to do it in a casual way. So today you bring one. Then tomorrow you develop the physical plan and then bring another bill. Let me tell you, and you can go to all the areas in Kampala, in Wakiso, in all the towns. This country was planned. I remember when we were approving the loans for USMID, I was on the Committee on National Economy. We went to Tororo, went to Soroti, went to Jinja. All the cities have a plan. What you have added will need to be demolished. And the reason you are doing this is because you now want every councillor to have power, because I am councillor for Charuwajara. Some of these individuals who are supervising physical planning didn't go beyond P1. So, and I want to persuade the ministers, please, this has actually delayed. Tourism doesn't mean animals in Kanungu. There are towns you go to visit because of their physical planning. You admire a town and sit there and admire. But the trouble here, people think tourism is animals, cows, and these towns can attract money. Today, let me tell you, if you have a disaster in Kira, to wade through the buildings somewhere in the road, others are on tree, to go and rescue a person, you will need a helicopter. So physical plan is necessary. But the way you are trying to do it, say, okay, you have somewhere you are going, so you are in a hurry to bring something throw in our face and then go and plan, complete a plan and then return. So, Madam Speaker, I want to persuade the ministers. The other day we had the Kampala State Council. They hired a British company at $9 million to do a physical plan for Kampala, and it was completed. The British company asked them, do you want a lakefront view city, or you want one that starts on the main road? It was not even a plan. Then we passed a loan for flyover. As we are finishing roads, then we are destroying them. People who will come are going to be surprised that the Uganda of the 60s and 70s was fairly planned. The Uganda of our time. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can I be protected from Honorable Walswaka, please? Because he brought a report here to which we are reacting.
Yes, sir, Walswaka. Allow members to comment on both your report and that of the...
Even the technical leadership in the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development has been studying why is it that there is poor physical planning and its attending consequences of encroaching on protected areas, reserves, public spaces, wetlands, forest reserves, interruption in drainage water flows, Islamization of space, etc. And yet, this was not the case during the colonial days. It is this study that has resulted in this bill. Because one, we have identified one of the causes being a lacuna in the law. The Constitution provides that physical planning in the local governments, i.e. in the districts, in the town councils such as Chira and Chaliwajala, in municipalities, that this will be the responsibility of the local governments. It is in the Constitution. That is why those local authorities have district planners, town council planners, municipality planners. They recruit their own people within the framework of their personnel structures. However, these people are low-level class, they are low-level in terms of hierarchy. And they are subject to patronage, control from their superiors. The political leadership of the mayors, the councillors, the chairman of the town council, the chief administrative officer, they all sit and suppress and influence what the municipal or the town planner or the district planner does. Now, the Constitution, on the other hand, also provides that the center, we in the ministry, the center, will be responsible for coordinating the plans.
Sorry, Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, that the Constitution provides that it is the center which will be responsible for coordinating these plans made by the local governments to a regional plan and to a national physical plan. So, hence, we have a Directorate of Physical Planning. This is their work. But as we speak today, from the time of establishment, the established positions in that directorate has only come up to something like 51%. The personnel is lacking. The evidence of this is in the policy statement which we laid before this House. The physical planning, point of order?
What point of order, Honorable Nzogu?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, personally, I am not understanding what the Minister is struggling to explain, because he's confusing two things. He's saying, actually, the structure of the 2010 Physical Planning Act subjects the people, the physical planners at the lower level, to maybe the politicians and other powers where they don't have actually power to therefore make decisions on their own. Yes, I am building, you listen. Then two, he's also saying, Right Honorable Speaker, that there will be the board and the secretariat, which will be the coordination center, and therefore coordinating the plans at the lower level. I would like the Honorable Minister to actually put it in this context. Is he in order? Yes, is he in order to insinuate that the thin secretariat at the headquarters will actually solve the problems at the sub-county level? Is the Honorable Minister in order, Right Honorable Speaker? Because the secretariat will be based at the headquarters here in Kampala. And this secretariat is not going to be reflected at the lower level, meaning that the physical planner in the municipality or a town council, even the district, will still operate under the influence of the politicians. So is the Honorable Minister in order to explain what is not explaining that must be explained clearly?
Honorable Minister, maybe you can elucidate further for the benefit of the honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, all I was trying to do is to give a background to how we arrived at the bill presently before you. And I'm saying, Madam Speaker, that the Physical Planning Act, which established the Physical Planning Board, made a board that's like a desk in the director's office. This board is part-time. It's made up of 9 members. It is part-time. It doesn't have a budget. It doesn't have an account. It cannot recruit staff. It doesn't have staff, not even a coffee bearer. It doesn't have equipment. It is incapacitated in terms of doing its work. We have a board. Madam Speaker, many of the members heckling there have been given opportunity to say something.
Honourable members, please let's respect one another.
Honourable Mukitale, who is a senior.
Let's respect one another. Let's listen to one another. You may not agree, but let's listen.
Thank you. I can understand Honourable Ngozu because he needs to know. He needs to know a lot more about how physical planning should be in this country. But Honourable Mukitale, please allow me to finish this point. I am saying, Madam Speaker, that the board we have
You want to assist the minister? He is asking to give clarification, Honourable.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. My honourable colleague, Honourable Nzogu, was seeking clarification. Right Honourable Speaker, the local physical development plans generated from the grassroots are subject to approval by the district physical planning committees, which later on are forwarded to the national level, to the physical development board, planning board, for approval. So, by strengthening the board, giving it technical people who will scrutinize those physical plans before approval by the board, will give cure to all the defects, all the gaps that are at the grassroots since they approve.
Honourable members, I want you to remember when we were receiving the USMID report, I think we were told that one of the municipalities opted to build a bus park instead of roads. It was their choice.
So, Madam Speaker, this bill is seeking to close the lacuna in the law where we have plans which are not, the implementation of which is not supervised. We have 3 stages here. We have planners that make plans. These planners are recruited and managed by the local governments. But these planners, even where the plan exists, there is weakness in implementation of those plans. And even where the implementation has been done, there is no enforcement to ensure that what is set out in the plan is what is translated on the ground. The purpose of this bill, therefore, is to ensure that we address the 2 missing links, that is, the implementation of a plan and the enforcement. You cannot do that under the current arrangement, Madam Speaker. You need the legal framework that gives you the muscle to do so, and you also need the institutional framework. And that institution cannot be the director for physical planning, who is a policy person. Madam Speaker, those, no, I'm not accepting clarification. I am really clear, Madam Speaker. So the purpose of these amendments, Madam Speaker, is that we need flexibility on hiring people. I will explain to you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to explain to the House. Madam Speaker, if we are going to have people who ensure that the people who build at night, people start building on Friday afternoon, and on Monday morning, they're already in the house. They're already housewarming, and they have built in the wrong place. Under the current arrangement, even if you told the director of physical planning that there is a problem there, he doesn't have the capacity to respond. He doesn't have the capacity to respond, neither does he have the mandate to do so. The purpose of this is to ensure that we do effective enforcement. That's the purpose of this bill, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. From the way the minister is presenting, maybe he's going round. I think his issue is he lacks staff to do the work. So you should have come here with your structure of how many people you want, so that we allow you to recruit, but also attach the budget of what you require. I don't think a board member is going to run around structures all over Kampala, Karamoja way. So to me, I think you need staff. If you have a shortage, as you have said, you have 51%, present your work plan, including your budget and the number of people you want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me just put it in a simple language. That in 2010, this Parliament passed this Physical Planning Act, 2010, and it created a National Physical Planning Board, which board we have found is weak in its current capacity. Yes. The law makes it weak. That is why you see there is a lot of proliferation of slums in our urban areas. And the intention, just hold on. The intention of this amendment bill is to strengthen this existing National Physical Planning Board by looking at its functions. When you look at the bill, some of the functions which we are proposing, among others, is that the powers of the board will include to issue guidelines, directives, or instructions to physical planning committees for the proper conduct of physical planning and urban development. At the moment, the National Physical Planning Board is not sufficiently empowered to direct or guide. Right, Honorable Speaker. Yes. Board is not sufficiently empowered to guide the local physical planning committees. And we're saying in the amendment, we need to empower this physical planning board. We are, for instance, also proposing that among the powers of the board shall be to order the demolition of any building or structure constructed in contravention of this act. In other words, if a mayor of a town council or municipality, because of political considerations, does not support the physical planners there, the board at the center doesn't have sufficient power, for instance, to intervene. And we're saying Parliament should strengthen this board at the center to intervene in such matters so that plans, just hold on, so that the plans which have been initiated by the local physical planning committees can be supported by this National Physical Planning Board. So unless we are saying that, just hold on. I am clarifying to you. So the intentions of this bill basically is to strengthen the National Physical Planning Board, which exists. And one way of strengthening, among others, is to give it a secretariat, which will handle the day-to-day administrative support of this board. I thank you, and I hope I have clarified it to you. You are now in a better position. Thank you very much.
Honorable Anyarach, then Warswaka.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, looking at this country, the way the planning is so disorganized, when we talked about industrial hub being Ginger, so that you have electricity there zero rated for most factories. Now all factories are actually paying commercial rate, and they're established anywhere. They're actually a threat to people who reside around the factories. Somebody just comes from nowhere, starts a factory around. Now all the people who are staying around must go away. And if they don't go away, the health hazards and so on. We, in that spirit, think that actual national physical planning law is a good thing. There are two positions here. That people are saying we don't need the board because that is an extra bill on the citizens. And then the position of some other members like Honorable Semujunganda is that there's no need to rush. Here is the thing. The board will need three tools. You'll need the law, you need the policy, and you'll need an action plan in form of your national physical planning development plan. Now, if we constituted the board today without, actually with some of these tools lacking, what are we solving? We are saying go slow, let's look at the law comprehensive, because for me, I am with you. But then, what is the rush going to cure now? Because these arguments, like, you know, in the district, they are subject to control by local political heads and so on. But even here, for example, NEMA here, there are people who are powerful in this government who have put structures in wetlands when NEMA is watching. So that argument may not convince me, but the argument of where, you see the whole country is not well organized, it's not planned and so on. For me, I would support and say the citizens should foot the bills because this is a justifiable cause. But then, why the rush when you even have some of the tools lacking? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you because pertinent issues which handle this country, you really give them attention. And I want to thank you for that. Madam Speaker, this minority, I wrote it with the pain, honorable members. And the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker, the ministers who are here when the Prime Minister was talking, they were not there. If you would even bring the clerk to play what the Prime Minister said, they would not be here. They would not be saying. But what we are saying, Madam Speaker, Honourable Minister of Lands, why don't you borrow a leaf from Minister of Water? They support districts. There are even regional water offices. Even the Minister of Lands, honourable members, build regional land offices. The other time, the best built regional land office is from Rukunjiri, though they are FDC, but they monitored the construction very well. Yes. Now, the minister wants to leave all these established zonal offices, and he sets up a minute thing in Kampala here, and he was very clear, Honorable Musumba. You said the issue of jobs. Your work is to create jobs for the people who went to school, not to solve the problems of the Ugandans. So, members, I want to request, I don't want to agree with the Honorable Semuju that we just abandon the bill. There were some gaps. I would request that we go with the bill, but the issue of the executive director. Members, an executive director will not be alone. There will be director of finance, director of human resource, director of transport, CG director, and these ones don't get little money. They get in 50 millions. And this is what the ministry and the minister wants to put this country to. So, Madam Speaker, I want to thank you, and I want to request to members, we go with the bill, the board members are there, but we strengthen the department. When we are talking, even Honorable Bahati is even fearing to mention, but the bill which will go to finance,
to finance these secretariats. It's too much. The people in the ministry, they are saying now, you people, you are even chasing us. So members, yeah, ministry officials, yes, I take that information. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable James, thanks so much for giving way. I want to remind this House that at one point in time, the President wrote to us and was against establishment of authorities of this nature. Now I keep wondering where, yes, I'm wondering where, how this bill then came through, how the bill came through cabinet to this level when the President himself refused and said it is not proper to keep creating agencies of this nature. That's the information I wanted to give you, Honorable Al-Swaka.
Okay. Honorable Barrow, finally.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank so much. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you so much. You know, we are trying to look for a way of cutting costs for the benefit of this country. But, and that's why even the government was said they are trying to do it. And that's why specifically last week, I'm referring to last week because I was in this house last week. The Prime Minister was very, very, very clear. Very clear, Madam Speaker. Now, I wish there was a way they would play it, such that we hear what Ndugu said here, and you actually not chair, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, now that there's this jam, and now it's now confusing us, and like members moving up and going this way, going that way. My view in this case, I would propose that the ministers here, who were not in that, were not in the house that last week, as we talk now, they are now talking about something different from what the Prime Minister said. Who is the leader of government business? I would actually suggest, Madam Speaker, that they should actually reorganize and pack their papers, and they take it back, and then they reorganize, and then come back when they are organized. At the moment, nothing is clear, because this one is causing an embarrassment to us as members of Parliament who actually would support these very, very important programs like this bill. This bill is very important because I know Ngora is going to become a city one day, but we need to plan now. And I'm sure, like this city here, we should be planning for a proper city now, which will not be in Kampala, and we take it to Karamoja. But with that, for example, it should only be done when we have a proper law, a proper arrangement. But in the current arrangement, my minister actually trying to defend may not help us, in my opinion. That's why for me, I don't want them to hide. I don't want to talk about whatever. What I'm saying, Madam Speaker, we must protect the image of this parliament. I remember when the health brought something about laboratories, we rejected. Here, we're on the record. We rejected it, and the government is aware that we must cut costs. But according with this arrangement, we're actually going to put this country in trouble. I will be happy if now you rule, Madam Speaker, that this thing should be taken back. I will be happy, man. Thank you so much.
Minister? Yes, Minister. Let's hear from the mover.
Madam Speaker, I don't know why we are spending so much time on the matter that one starts with the purview of cabinet. I have laid before you, Madam Speaker, cabinet instructions that I bring this bill here. It is here. You can say, but that's the position. And Madam Speaker, I was not here on Thursday. I had permission to be away. But I have since had opportunity to look at the Hansard, because the way the government operates, if the Prime Minister doesn't want a bill to be here, yesterday, which was a cabinet day, there would have been instructions to withdraw that bill. There were no such instructions. Two, when you, Madam Speaker, asked the Prime Minister, there was no answer that he gave, which stated categorically that the Secretariat or any other part of this bill should be stopped. I will read the answer. And Madam Speaker, let me be protected from Walswa, because we are here to debate, not to heckle.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Procedure,
No,
Madam Speaker.
I have a copy of the answer, Madam Speaker, and I beg to proceed.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, I think we have a practice in this House. The report was brought. We have spoken to it. The mover is explaining his part. That's how Parliament works. Let him finish what he's explaining. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, page 9,854 of Hansard, it says, the Speaker, this was the Speaker, he said, thank you, honorable members. That is after Honorable Walswaka had presented the minority report. The Speaker said, thank you, honorable members, for both reports. Prime Minister, there is something that's bothering me. This issue of mergers or no mergers has never come to this House. That was the Speaker on Hansard. This matter has never come to this House. Yet, now it is being used to take positions in this House. Where are you? Are you going to merge the agencies? Are you not? When will you come here? Where do we stand? The Speaker wants to know. She states, one, that the matter has never been presented to this House. Then she says, where are you? Are you anywhere? We just here. Are you merging the agencies? Are you not? When will you come? Where do we stand? And, excuse me, I am the one having the floor, please. And the Prime Minister, who is the lead of government business, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, answered, Madam Speaker, I am glad you have raised this very important point. Government is carrying out a thorough exercise of rationalization of parastatals with a view to significantly reduce them. This is exactly the position. I agree there has been some bit of delay, but this has been caused by government and the cabinet being as thorough as possible so that we do a perfect job. So that answer, I have been trying to read it, and I have failed to find anything in that answer that says the Secretariat in this bill is withdrawn. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The clarification I want to seek from the Honorable Isaac Amsumba, the Minister. You've told the Parliament you are about to complete a national physical planning development plan. The completion means you know which plan, how much personnel you need to implement it, which at the moment you don't know. In fact, I don't understand what this strengthened board will do without a plan. So the clarification I am seeking, whether it wouldn't be necessary to first complete the national physical development plan, you know all the requirements in terms of personnel, in terms of the budget, and you come together and tell Parliament, this is what I want. Because the preamble here, I'm not sure whether it is either the preamble or the introduction of one of the reports, was that although the national, the Physical Plan Act is new, you already have found the problems. I have a feeling you will have problems with this amendment you are making immediately you complete the national physical plan development, because at the moment you don't even know what the requirements of that plan will be. That's the clarification I want, that you will not come back, that the physical development plan you are doing for the whole country will not need anything else, so this one is sufficient. And for me, I'm going to support you the moment you answer that question.
Additional clarification.
Madam, since I'm seeking his support, may I have the opportunity to answer the question? The point is that the plan that is being made, we know for a fact that it will have to be implemented. We also know that appreciation of the plan, because we are in the final stages, the plan, we already have a draft plan, which is remaining with the cabinet approval, and we have a plan. The plan, which is there, will need implementation. The purpose of what we are doing now is to ensure that as the plan progresses, the framework for implementation is put in place by amending the law. That's what we are doing, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, having said that, I seek your guidance, Madam Speaker. After I read the Hansard, as I have read now, I looked at the rules. Specifically, I looked at Rule 79, which talks about anticipation, and 79.2 in particular. I seek your guidance, Madam Speaker, whether when we have something that says it is out of order to anticipate,
but you just said so,
whether this is something we can continue to discuss here. Madam Speaker, I seek your guidance.
You just... Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence. Madam Speaker, we are listening to a very important subject matter. We have a Vision 2040. The population of this country is expected to double in less than 12 years from now. The National Physical Development Plan goes beyond this board. It's looking at the future of this country in terms of dealing with the demographic challenges. It's looking at the zonal economic zones in direction of the cities and the industrial parks in every zone. It's talking about the multimodal transport system, where you're going to put the rail system, the water, where you're going to have the roads and the railway. What we are spending a lot of time on does not address the bigger picture. Through you, Madam Speaker, can I request, since this information is at large, with the ministry, the experts there, they are really wondering if we are serious as Parliament. Because they have a very good document. Ministers, you know what is in that document and how we have challenges in land acquisition, paying money today for the pipeline, for acquiring, yet this could have been integrated, the corridors, which the Speaker and the committees over and over have been demanding. The answer is in that physical development plan. It is not in this body you are pushing so fast, so that you have latitude to hire people. Can I pray through you, Madam Speaker? We don't lose much, even if you gave us a whole morning, so that we look at a multidimensional. We get a listening from the bigger picture of the National Physical Development Plan. We look at all this, because we don't only need land for housing or for physical planning of buildings. We are talking of multipurpose land use planning. Can you please allow this country to move from the quagmire we have had in terms of the land sector, so that the next cities like Arua, like Jinja, like Mbale, like Imbarara do not suffer what Kampala has suffered, expanding without a structural plan? The answer is not in your board. The answer is in the National Physical Development Plan. Madam Speaker, through you, I request, give us one morning of a working day. We go in the conference hall, listen to all parties, we listen to all stakeholders, then we can come back and engage on this matter. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Dr. Barimus.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. We are speaking about two different issues.
What's the priority?
No, just hold on. You have just spoken, give me a chance. We have just brought proposals to amend an existing Act of Parliament to strengthen the framework of implementing these plans. We have also said there is a process of drafting this plan. Those are different processes. So therefore, what we are requesting for from the Speaker can happen, that we can have a workshop where we interact on this plan, But that should not stop the amendment of the law, because the two are different. So we should not confuse. Yes, they are. Unless, yeah, no. The process of developing a national physical development plan is a separate intervention. What we are doing now is to strengthen the governance structures within the law to implement these plans, so the two can go on concurrently. In other words, even if you finalize the plan, there will still be need to strengthen the law, to strengthen the board. Yes, yes, please.
What do you do about it?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I want you to tell us whether we have a national physical plan approved. And if we don't, then that explains why the board that was created is redundant, because it had no work, it has nothing to implement. Can you please clarify in simple terms so that we don't waste a lot of time?
As I answer this, I think my advice would be that the members need to read the existing law and see what it provides. So the answer is there a national physical development plan? There is a draft plan, yes, which we have said so here. But under the Constitution and the current Physical Planning Act, the local governments are empowered to develop plans. But also the law says the National Physical Planning Board, which is already there, coordinates this planning. And we are saying that the current law has a weakness in the sense that the National Physical Planning Board doesn't have sufficient powers to do that work. And therefore, we are saying we can strengthen the powers and functions of this board. At the same time, we complete the enactment of the National Physical Planning Board. The two can go on concurrently. In other words, even if we complete the process of the National Physical Planning Act, the National Physical Development Plan, we shall still need to strengthen this board if we are going to implement this plan and the other subnational plans. So therefore, there is no contradiction at all, Madam Speaker, for us as Parliament to pass these amendments at the same time to complete the development of the National Physical Development Plan. There is no contradiction at all.
Sabit, then Majezi, then Moding. I'm coming. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. As the ministers have stated, we do not have a national physical development plan as at now.
Correct.
That, as at now, yes, we don't have. Because we can only have it when it has been approved
Correct.
and laid here. That means now you cannot go into implementation and enforcement when you don't know what to implement and what to enforce.
Precisely.
This is definitely logical because a national physical development plan gives you general guidelines on what to do and what not to do. I have a problem in my constituency, and I know it is never incorporated in that national physical development plan. Because whenever we get landslides, there is a permanent pathway where we know the stormwater is passing. Now, if the national development plan had identified that, and it is properly put there, then people will not be building there, enforcement can be done, because we know this is the problem. We actually don't know our problem. We are now moving to implementation and enforcement. I don't know whether we are being logical or illogical. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Speaker.
Honourable Majesty.
Thank you.
Majesty will hear.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've listened carefully to the views on both sides. Do we need a secretariat? Colleagues, we have the Ministry of Agriculture. We have the National Coffee Development Authority. In as long as we establish a board, an authority, a commission, we must give it the necessary technical staff for accountability and implementation of the policies of the board and the budget. For me, that seems to be clear to me. Unless we say the law of 2010 erred in establishing a board, then we put the entire aspect of physical planning under the ministry structure. But the Directorate of Physical Planning is responsible to the PS, and the PS is responsible to the minister. But within the minister's structure, there is a board which has a budget, which needs accountability, which needs staff for implementation. Let's be consistent, Right Honorable Speaker. Is this proposed law solving the problems of physical planning? Madam Speaker, me, I've had the opportunity of being a planner in the district. And within our planning unit, we had a physical planner. I was an economic planner. We had statisticians and so on. The problems are not the district of Mukono. The problems of lack of planning or poor planning or failure to implement the plans. Honorable Minister, you are shooting them offside a little bit. Because I know that some town councils and some municipalities have benefited from physical plans developed by the Ministry of Local Government. But the plans are in paper, you see them on the charts, they are not being implemented. The problem of lack of staffing has to be addressed. And you cannot address it by taking away the powers back to the center. The problem of corruption has to be addressed both at the local and at the national level. And you cannot solve that by simply establishing a commission, a board. No, that's different. You are shooting the problem offside. The problem of poor financing of the planning function. Madam Speaker, I thought the minister would come to us and propose strengthening physical planning through the budget and implementation. So we seem to be having very serious issues to agree on with the Honorable Minister. Because when you say these local governments have staff of a lower capacity, you cannot solve that by taking away the function back to the center. You put there the right staff at the local government. So for me, maybe the proposal of Honorable Mkitale makes sense. That Honorable Minister, we go back a step a little bit and we discuss exactly what do we want. You're telling us that there is a draft national physical plan. How was it developed without the input of the local government physical plans? So are we talking of the national planning function top-down, or is it bottom-up? If you have already done it at the national level, what will be the impact of having the local government plans built from sub-county to the district, and they stop there? So we seem to be having very serious discussion that we need to really sort out before we proceed with the legislation. Right Honorable Speaker, I totally agree the role of the center is to coordinate, is to supervise, is to give assistance to the local governments. But if we are going to establish a board that is going to do physical planning for all the sub-counties and all the towns, we shall simply not manage. We have to be consistent with the Constitution. Physical planning in the districts and sub-counties is a function of local governments. And we must strengthen it. So if you want to do something at the center, identify your niche. Don't go back into the local government. Strengthen your niche. So for me, Madam Speaker, it seems, rather than rushing now to go into the next step of the law, can we take a step back and we first look at these principles and we agree on them? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, before I invite Honourable Moding, I just wanted to restate the principles as they are written here in the bill. The objects and principles of this bill are to amend the Physical Planning Act 2010, Act number 8 of 2010, to provide for the functions and powers of the board, comma, to establish a secretariat of the board, comma, to provide for the appointment of the executive director and staff of the board, comma. Please listen, please. I'm reading the objectives here. To streamline the composition of physical planning committees, to provide for the offenses and deterrent penalties for the contravention of the Act. Those are the objectives of this law. They are not to implement the physical development plan, no. No, activating Act 8 of 2010. That's what they're saying here. You want to...
Opposing, Madam Speaker. Those of us who have very strong views, you can give us, as Honorable Mukitare suggested, maybe 2 days, we have another discussion with the ministers and then come back when we have harmonized our positions.
Honourable Ogenga, then Nandala, then Atiku.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was a member of Parliament when the National Planning Authority was established. I've also been very actively involved in the planning processes for this country. When I hear the minister saying that they are going to draw up a national physical development plan, I begin to wonder who the advisors of the ministers are. Because what you see as physical in this country is composed of very many things. The urban people will do their urban planning. The roads people will do their planning. But the common framework will be the vision and then the national development plans. Those would be the frameworks. I wish there was evidence that this was happening. I'm an agriculturalist and also involved on land. The most fundamental thing we need to have as a law in this country is a very clear land use plan that will underpin all other physical planning, because all those physical planning will be on land. As long as we leave the issue of land open-ended, just forget it. You can have your plan, and what will you do when you don't have a legal framework to ensure that that plan is translated into something physical on land? And so I would beg the minister, these boards, these are creating jobs. Unfortunately, it is the young who need jobs, not the old. And the young people cannot be board members. So let us find another way of creating jobs for the young people, and not those who have eaten enough in this country and actually need to retire and rest. I thank you.
Honourable Nandala, then Atiku.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, from what you have heard, I want to start from what Honourable Sabit said and my good brother Magezi. Madam Speaker, when Professor Latigo mentioned that he was around when they were doing National Planning Authority, then I remembered one person, that is Honorable Musumba, who spearheaded that policy, that law. And me, in my mind, I thought he was coming with the idea that he have also got plans for land use, for management of the roads, and whatever the case. Now, Madam Speaker, the issue is not the law. If you made a committee of parliament here and you never gave it authority to work, it will never work. If you have that small board, or whatever you call it in lands, and you have not given it authority to work, then it will not what? Work. Even if we gave it the law, even if we gave it money. There are so many committees in this country which exist without the law. For example, every minister has a top management meeting every day or every week. What they decide is what they implement in the ministry, and it works well. I don't know if that is in the law. It is not in the law. So, Madam Speaker, the problem we have is that people want to create boards, committees, so that maybe for other things. For other things. But if it is that we love Uganda, physical planning, everybody wants it. Agriculture, we need. Road, as we have said, whatever you want. But if we don't allow it to work, it won't work. I have a physical plan in my district. I have asked him a question. What are you physically planning? You see, you go to, like live in a land, if you go to a district, you are looking for land officer. They are never there. These ones who are there. That's why people are bringing even swamp. A man or a woman issues the land title without even expecting where he's going to give the what? The land title. They are never there. So, Madam Speaker, I don't think we need to do anything. Let us have the physical plan here. The draft has existed for long. And I can tell you this thing, when it came in 2010, the idea I was here was that this is going to address the issue of poor planning at all levels. In 2010, and they said this board which is going to be there has architectures, has lawyers, has, they mentioned everything. And we're happy, yes, and we're happy that it's going to work.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee and the members for the submission so far made. Right Honorable Speaker, this debate has come timely when the country is about to roll out a number of regional cities, and yet we have the capital city, Kampala, in the state in which it is. Many of us have traveled and we have seen what other countries have done in as far as physical planning is concerned, and the benefits for those countries. Some of you will argue that, you know, some of these well-to-do countries, but recently we returned from UNA, from Chicago. But as you land in Chicago, you'll see the city is covered green. And what does that mean to us? What lessons do we pick from these countries that have done proper planning for their countries? Right Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with the submissions made by Honorable Mukitale and Honorable Semuju in regard to us chronologically taking steps, the right steps for us to address the misfortunes that we have bestowed on this country in as far as failing to implement whichever framework we have put in place. Is it the Physical Planning Act, which was passed in 2010, has not been implemented. You go across the country, people are still doing things. If you go to the village or to the rural areas, people are still utilizing land in the manner in which their great-grandparents were using it. And yet, the world has evolved. Today we are facing the threat of climate change. People have gone into wetlands, which are supposed to be protected. People have encroached on forest reserves, which are supposed to be protected for the benefit of the entire country. And where is the National Physical Plan in this aspect? So, my brother, my friend, Honorable Musumba, I remember yesterday at lunch we discussed, and I had a pleasure to support you. Yes, it's true. We need strong institutions to enforce whatever laws or policies that we have put in place. But there is a need for us to address how we transition in making sure that everything is formalized so that everybody embraces whatever law that we are passing here. If the framework
conclude.
A minute.
Conclude.
If the framework is not going to bring on board each and every stakeholder, then there is a need for us to be very cautious and careful, because we have reached a time when we should not overlook any steps or any measures. And this is the time. So, Madam Speaker, I concur with the suggestions of colleagues that let us get each and every stakeholder on board. Let's move slow and get everybody to support this process and get a law that will enhance proper planning and development in this country. Thank you.
Members, I'm proposing that since the fields are still very divided, can I defer the debate on this matter so that we can speak to it again maybe next week? To give you a few days so that members are on the same page. Okay, so debate is deferred to next week. Thank you. Next week, national economy.
Motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to euros 101.88 million from the UK Export Finance for the development of solar powered irrigation and water supply system project.
Honour Chair, national economy. It's your motion? Chair of the national economy. Yes, Honorable Ajat Saida.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity to present the report of the Committee on National Economy on the proposal.
Maybe, sorry, Honourable Chair, wait a bit, let the Minister move, then you can report. Honourable Minister of Finance. What's the order? Honourable members, are the ministers leaving?
Yeah. Madam Speaker, we have been discussing bills. This is why I told you maybe the ministers are mobilized for this. Is the Honourable Minister, are they in order to just leave? Because some of us go for health break, but for you, you stay here. And people, after their discussion and they go, they think you and us don't have time. Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, the ministers of the Ministry of Lands must return so that they can also support the Ministry of Finance on these issues.
No one is going to support you. Let them come back. Let them come back.
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker and honourable colleagues, I beg to move a motion to allow government to mobilize resources through borrowing of up to euros 101.88 million from the UK Export Finance for the development of solar-powered irrigation system and water supply systems project for the entire country. I beg to move.
Let me now invite our committee chair to report on that motion.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to present the report of the Committee on National Economy on the proposal by government to borrow up to euros 101.88 million euros from the UK Export Finance for the development of solar-powered irrigation and water supply system. Madam Speaker, before I go further, permit me to lay on table the following documents. The first one is the report. This report which I'm going to present, which is duly signed. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay. I wish to lay the minutes of the meetings, the brief to Parliament, and the project summary presented by the Minister of Water, the certificate of financial implications, confirmation of availability of government counterpart funding, clearance by the National Planning Authority, the term sheet for the project,